There are many ways to miss or get locked out of certain quest lines and rewards in Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. This guide covers all quest steps and the order in which they need to be completed to ensure that all outcomes and rewards are available. Unlike my more comprehensive guide series, which I recommend for players that are new to the DLC, this guide is more condensed and focuses solely on the order in which to complete quest steps and missable content. As such, this guide is intended for players that are familiar with the DLC, all of its locations, and are also not worried about spoilers. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Before starting the DLC, we will need to defeat Radahn and Mohg, Lord of Blood, from the base game. We can then go to the Cocoon of the Empyrean, speak with Needle Knight Leda, and touch the Withered Arm of Miquella to enter the Shadow Realm. To start, we do not want to attack any of these friendly Pest NPCs if we come across them. We'll know that they're friendly because we won't be able to lock onto them. They give us various Forager brewed cookbooks when spoken to, which is amongst the most missed content in the DLC. Attacking them also interferes with the quest line of Moor, another NPC. With that covered, let's move on to the quests. We will begin with everything that can be done before going to Shadow Altus, as doing that will automatically advance a couple of quest lines. Starting at 3 Path Cross, we can interact with Miquella's Cross, speak with Freyja until exhausting all of her dialogue, and then do the same with Hornsent. Freyja will then have one more new line of dialogue if we speak to her after that. Going to the main gate cross, we can speak with Ansbach, exhaust all of his dialogue, then speak to Moor. If we purchase an item from Moor's shop, we will then have the option to talk to Moor. Speaking to Ansbach again, we can then ask about the person in verdigris armor. Southeast of the Cliff Road Terminus Site of Grace is the first of the friendly Pest NPCs. When interacted with, it will give us the Forager Brewed Cookbook too. I'm including these because these cookbooks will no longer be available to get after Moor dies. At some point, we'll need to make our way down to the Cerulean coast. The second friendly Pest NPC can be found northeast of the Cerulean Coast Site of Grace. We can interact with it to get the Forager Brewed Cookbook 3. If we go interact with the Cerulean Coast Cross of Miquella, we can then go tell Ansbach about it. These interactions with Ansbach become unavailable once the Great Rune has been broken. Now let's go get Thiollier's Concoction, which can also only be done before breaking the Great Rune. Going to the Pillar Path Cross, we'll need to speak with the nearby Thiollier, exhausting all of his dialogue. He should open up his poison shop at that point. Next up, let's fast travel to the main gate cross and interact with Moor. We'll then need to select the Talk to Moor option to get the Black Syrup key item. We can then return to Thiollier to give Black Syrup, then ask about Black Syrup, and finally say, "I'm weary of life." After doing all of that, we should get Thiollier's Concoction. This is used to get one set of rewards in the Igon and Dragon Communion Priestess questline, which we will cover next. Also, if you use the Thiollier's Concoction on yourself, more can always be bought from Thiollier until he leaves the Pillar Path Cross. Now let's cover the Igon and Priestess questline, which we can complete in its entirety without messing up any other quests. To start Igon's questline, we can go southwest of the Pillar Path waypoint. Igon will be screaming on the ground, and we can speak with him, but we don't want to attack him. Moving southeast from the Dragon's Pit terminus, we can find and read a message from Igon near the edge of a small overlook. As a side note, I don't believe all dragons in this area need to be defeated to complete this questline, but that is what I did. Going south to the Grand Altar of Dragon Communion, we should make sure that it's daytime, then speak with the Priestess nearby. To start our quest, we'll need to devour Draconic Essence, and this will also get us an Ancient Dragon's Blessing. We'll then want to ask about Bale as part of our quest. The Priestess quest has 2 possible endings, each with their own exclusive rewards. For the first, we'll just need to complete this questline without doing anything to the Priestess. This will get us the Priestess Heart and Flowerstone Gavel as exclusive rewards. For the second quest ending and exclusive rewards, we'll need to give the Priestess Thiollier's Concoction before proceeding. If we complete the quest after doing that, we'll get the Dragonbolt of Florisax's incantation and legendary Ancient Dragon Florisax Spirit Ashes as exclusive rewards. To get all unique DLC items in 2 playthroughs, we'll need to choose one of these paths for the first playthrough and the other for New Game Plus. Which path you want to do first and which one you want to do second is entirely up to you. If you are choosing not to give the Priestess Thiollier's concoction, then skip this next step. For everyone else, pass time until nightfall at the nearby site of grace, then speak with the Dragon Communion Priestess and use Thiollier's concoction. After that, pass time until morning at the site of grace twice. This should cause the Priestess to wake back up. We will then need to speak with her until exhausting all of her dialogue. Regardless of which path you chose for the Priestess, we will all need to complete this next step, going southeast from the foot of the Jagged Peak site of grace to defeat the dueling dragons. We can then move further east to find Igon and should speak with him until he gives us the Igon's Furled Finger key item. All that's left to do is make our way up to the Jagged Peak summit and defeat Baal the Dread. Igon's summoning sign will appear within the boss arena near the entrance, but only after Baal swoops in for the first time. You don't need to summon Igon for the fight to complete his quest, but he is very helpful and has some great voice lines. After defeating the boss and getting the Heart of Baal, we can return to Igon's last location, southeast of the foot of the Jagged Peak site of grace. There, we'll get Igon's Bell Bearing, Great Bow, and armor set. To complete the Priestess questline, we'll need to return to the Grand Altar of Dragon Communion. If you did not give the Priestess Thiollier's concoction, she will be gone, leaving behind the Priestess Heart and Flowerstone Gavel. If we did give the Priestess Thiollier's concoction, she'll still be there, and will give us the Dragonbolt of Florisax's incantation when spoken to. You will then need to confess to putting her to sleep, and speak with her a few more times before finally agreeing to take her with you. Doing so will get you the legendary Ancient Dragon Florisax Spirit Ashes. As far as what to do with Baal's heart, we can go interact with the Grand Altar and select Communion with Baal. We can only get one of the 2 available incantations, Baal's Tyranny and Baal's Flame Lightning, and we'll then need to get the other in New Game Plus. Next up, let's cover the quest steps that we can do in the Belurat Tower Settlement Legacy Dungeon. Northeast of the small private altar site of grace, there is a courtyard where a hostile NPC, Fire Knight Queelign, will invade us. This is part of his questline, and defeating him gets us the Crusade Insignia Talisman. Moving northwest through the settlement from there, we'll want to grab the storeroom key. We can use this key to open a room southwest of the small private altar site of grace. Inside is the Hornsent Grandamn NPC. We should speak with her until exhausting all of her dialogue, and we will return to her later. Northwest of where we found the storeroom key, we can climb over some rubble to reach a hidden cross of Mikola. We can interact with it, then go inform Ansbach of its existence for more unique dialogue. If we also want some unique dialogue with Freyja, we'll need to summon her near the stage front site of grace and have her help us defeat the Divine Beast. In addition, we'll want to pick up the Divine Beast head that the boss drops. Equipping the Divine Beast head, we can then go speak with the Hornsent Grandamn for some new dialogue. We should also get the Watchful Spirit incantation. Resting at a site of grace and returning to her will get us a Scorpion Stew. If we use it and need another, we can always rest at a site of grace and speak to the Grandamn again. With that, we'll go to the 3-path cross. If we give the Hornsent NPC the Scorpion Stew and speak through all of his dialogue, he will give us 3 Furnace Visages. If we want, we can get another Scorpion Stew from the Grandamn and try to give it to Hornsent, but he will refuse us the second time around. If we summon Freyja for the boss fight, we can speak to her and ask about the damage to her helm. We should also be able to ask about that other man, the Hornsent, at this point. With that, we're ready to go to Shadow Altus and cover all important quest steps to do before breaking the Great Rune, which happens when traveling north towards Shadow Keep, or northeast from Bonnie Village. As a quick side note, if you get to Shadow Altus through Castle Ensis, you can summon Needle Knight Leda for the fight against R'hllana, Twin Moon Knight. The High Road Cross of Miquella can be interacted with, and we should also exhaust all dialogue for both Leda and Hornsent. On the way over to Hornsent, we should pick up the Monk's Missive and May the Best Win gesture if we don't already have them, as they are required for Dryleaf Dane's short quest. If you still need Forager Brood cookbooks, make sure to have a Warming Stone before continuing on. A few of them can be found in southern Liurnia, west of the Church of Erith. With that in hand, we'll move northwest from the High Road Cross, making a quick stop at the Church of the Crusade. Fire Knight Queelign will invade for a second time there, and defeating him will get us the Prayer Room Key, which is needed for his quest, along with the Flame Skewer Ash of War. Northeast of the Church of the Crusade is the third friendly Pest NPC. This one will need to be warmed up, which is accomplished by using a Warming Stone near it. We will then need to rest at a Site of Grace or otherwise reload the game. After that, we can interact with the Pest to get the Forager Brood Cookbook 4. Going to more ruins, we can interact with the Cross of Miquella, then use the May the Best Win gesture in front of the NPC Dryleaf Dane. This will initiate a duel, and victory will get us the Dryleaf Arts and Dane's hat. Dryleaf Dane will leave a message behind for us to read. And in addition, I've seen it said that Leda will have something to say about Dane if spoken to at this point. I still have to confirm this for myself though. Next up, we can go interact with the Shadowview Cross of Miquella, then fast travel to the main gate cross and tell Ansbach about it. Speaking with Ansbach once more will get us some final unique dialogue. Because we warmed up that friendly pest that gave us the Forager Brood Cookbook 4, we should be able to interact with more and talk to more to get the Forager Brood Cookbook 7. Before breaking the Great Rune, let's collect the remaining Forager Brood cookbooks. The first of those is southwest of Morth Ruins, near the ruined Forge of Starfall Past. Interacting with the friendly pest there will get us the Forager Brood Cookbook 1. Going northeast from the Morth Ruins through the Waterside Cave will bring us to an area full of poison. The friendly pest near the northeast edge of it will give us the Forager Brood Cookbook 5 when interacted with. To get the last of these cookbooks, we'll need to go northeast of the bridge leading to the village Site of Grace. As mentioned earlier, doing so will break both a Great Rune and a powerful charm, advancing many quest lines. We should be ready to do it though, and we will now cover all missable quests and content to do before defeating Messmer in the Shadow Keep. The final friendly pest will be northwest of the Church District High Road Site of Grace, on top of a plateau. It will give us the Forager Brood Cookbook 6 when interacted with. At this point, we should have all 7 Forager Brood cookbooks. If that is the case, we no longer need to keep more alive for any missable content. To keep things efficient, let's go ahead and speak with a couple other NPCs first. At Pillar Path Cross, we can speak with Thiollier, and he will acknowledge the breaking of Miquella's charm. Also, if you wanted to buy anything from him before he leaves, then now is a good time to do it. Going to the 3-Path Cross, we'll want to speak through all of Freyja's dialogue. After doing this and resting at a Site of Grace, she should be gone. Next up, we can go to the main gate cross and exhaust all of Ansbach's dialogue, and he will leave for the Shadow Keep shortly thereafter. As for more, there are technically 2 choices. Either choice results in the same rewards. The only real difference we can make is to have more die right now without a fight, or near the end of the DLC after we fight him. To reach those choices, we will interact with Moore and talk to Moore. Saying "I don't know" has no effect on Moore. The slower path to completing Moore's quest and therefore getting his item set is to say "put it behind you." Doing this will have us fight Moore near the end of the DLC in order to complete his quest. The quicker and easier option is to just say "remain sad forever." Doing this will have us complete Moore's quest and get his rewards right now without a fight. Picking either of those two choices, then fast traveling back to this location should cause Moore to disappear. If you told Moore to remain sad forever, you can go to the friendly pest location that is northeast of the Church of the Crusade. There, you'll find Moore's bell bearing, verdigris shield, and verdigris armor set. Next, we'll want to go speak with Hornsent at High Road Cross, exhausting all of his dialogue. We can then speak with Leda, and for some additional unique dialogue, we can suggest Thiollier. Doing this is optional and will not interfere with Thiollier's quest. After that, we can go ahead and suggest the Hornsent. Once again, this is optional and will not interfere with any quest. Now, let's go complete almost all remaining steps for Thiollier's questline. The only ones that will remain will be those that are completed near the very end of the DLC. Going back to the Pillar Path Cross, we'll speak to Thiollier. He should tell us that he is heading south. If he doesn't, you may just need to rest at the Site of Grace a couple of times and then speak with him again. We will then need to venture down through the Stone Coffin Fissure and defeat the Putrescent Knight boss in the Garden of Deep Purple. Thiollier's summoning sign is near where you land in the garden. I'm not sure if summoning him is necessary for his quest, I don't think it is, but I summoned him just to be on the safe side. After discovering and resting at the Site of Grace, we'll move west into the cave system and exhaust all of Thiollier's dialogue. We then need to interact with Saint Trina and imbibe nectar. We will need to do this a total of 6 times for the purposes of this questline. After the 3rd time that we imbibe nectar, Thiollier will have some new voice lines as we enter the cave, though actually speaking to him won't result in much, at least for now. For that to happen, we will need to imbibe nectar from Saint Trina 3 more times. She will say something new each of those 3 times. The final message that we need to hear from Saint Trina begins with "You must kill Mikola." Once we've heard that, we can go speak with Thiollier and pass on Saint Trina's words. Thiollier will ask us to stop, but we should try to pass on Saint Trina's words again. After exhausting all of Thiollier's dialogue, we can return to the Site of Grace and rest. Approaching Saint Trina's cave will then trigger an invasion by Thiollier, in which victory will get us the Saint Trina's Smile talisman. Finally, we can return to Thiollier in the cave, speak with him, and pass on Saint Trina's words. If you don't have this option, you may need to imbibe more nectar from Saint Trina. After doing that, if we rest at the Site of Grace and return to Thiollier, he will be unresponsive. At this point, those are all of the necessary steps for Thiollier's quest so that we can complete it once we near the end of the DLC. Next, we'll go to the High Road Cross and speak with Leda. Regardless of what we told her earlier, she should tell us that she plans on eliminating the Hornsent. Make sure to speak through all of her dialogue until she says as much, and if she is not saying this, try resting at a Site of Grace or fast traveling back to that location until she does. Moving north through the Shadowkeep main gate, we'll need to defeat the Golden Hippopotamus. Both Redmane Freyja and the Hornsent can be summoned for this fight. Once again, I don't think it's required, but I summoned them both just to be safe. After that fight, we can keep moving through the Shadowkeep. Just south of the lift that goes to the Specimen Storehouse, we'll find 2 summoning signs relating to Leda, Hornsent, and Ansbach's questline. One is gold and the other is red. This is an important decision with exclusive rewards and downstream effects on the questline. While there are technically 3 potential paths for this questline, I'm just going to explain the 2 that are necessary if we want to get all rewards in 2 playthroughs. The first path we will discuss is to use the red summoning sign, which will have us side with Leda against Hornsent. The immediate exclusive reward for this path is the Lacerating Crossed Tree Talisman. Choosing this path will also allow us to side with Leda against Ansbach later on. For doing that, we will get 2 more exclusive rewards, Ansbach's Longbow and the Retaliatory Crossed Tree Talisman. With that, let's go back to the 2 summoning signs for Hornsent versus Leda. The second path will be to use the Gold Summoning Sign, which will have us side with Hornsent against Leda. The immediate exclusive reward for this path is the Swift Slash Ash of War. Going with this path will also cause Leda to disappear until the end of the DLC. There won't be any summoning signs to side with Leda against Ansbach or vice versa. In other words, going down this path guarantees that Ansbach will stay alive until the end of the DLC. The exclusive rewards for that are the Obsidian Lamina Reaper and Furious Blade of Ansbach Incantation. To sum it up, if you want to get all unique DLC rewards in just 2 playthroughs, you will need to side with Hornsent in 1 playthrough, and there won't be any additional choices beyond that. Then, in the other playthrough, you will first need to side with Leda against Hornsent, and later on, you will need to side with Leda against Ansbach. As mentioned before, which of these 2 paths you choose for your first playthrough and which you choose for your second is up to you. Hopefully I did a better job at explaining the choices for the questline this time around, but if you still have questions or concerns, you can reach out to me in the comments. If you sided with Leda against the Hornsent, then you will need to go to High Road Cross and speak with Leda to get the Lacerating Crossed Tree Talisman. Also, make sure to speak through all of her dialogue until she says that Ansbach is her next target for elimination. You may need to rest at a site of grace or fast travel in order to get that dialogue. On the other hand, if you sided with the Hornsent against Leda, you will get the Swift Slash Ash of War immediately, with no other required steps. In either case, we will next need to find and speak with Ansbach near the northeast corner of the storehouse first floor. After exhausting all of his dialogue, we'll make our way up to the 4th floor. From the site of grace, we'll then need to head outside and southeast along the storehouse exterior. Past the Fire Knight is a staircase which leads down to a secluded library room. We won't be going back to him just yet, but in the northeast corner of the room is the Secret Rite Scroll, a key item that will be needed for Ansbach's quest. Before we bring that to Ansbach, we will continue up through the storehouse to the 7th floor. Redmane Freyja will be there, and we need to speak through all of her dialogue. After doing that, we can return to Ansbach on the 1st floor and hand over Secret Rite Scroll. After speaking with him a couple of times, we can then tell him about Freyja's decision. It is important that we do both of these before leaving Ansbach. If you do it in the order mentioned, then you should immediately get the letter for Freyja key item. But if you did it in the reverse order, you may need to reload the game before Ansbach will give you the letter. Once we have the letter, we can take it back to Freyja and exhaust all of her dialogue to get the Golden Lion Shield. That is pretty much the last of Freyja's quest and the last that we will see of her until we reach the end of the DLC. At this point, if we sided with Hornsent against Leda earlier, Ansbach will be gone from his location on the 1st floor of the storehouse, and there won't be anything else to do here. This is as it should be, and we will still see Ansbach near the end of the game, where we will also get the remaining exclusive items for siding with Hornsent against Leda earlier. On the other hand, if we sided with Leda against Hornsent earlier, we should see 2 summoning signs at Ansbach's 1st floor location. If the summoning signs aren't there in your game, you may need to speak more with Leda at High Road Cross until she declares Ansbach as her next target. At this point, if you want to get all unique DLC rewards in just 2 playthroughs, you must use the red summoning sign to side with Leda against Ansbach. If we do that, we'll immediately get 1 exclusive reward, Ansbach's Longbow. Then, we can go speak with Leda near High Road Cross to get the Retaliatory Crossed Tree Talisman. This is the other exclusive item. After exhausting all of Leda's dialogue and resting at the Site of Grace, she will disappear, and we won't see her again until the end of the DLC. The next 2 quests we are covering will require either an Iris of Grace or an Iris of Occultation to complete. Fortunately, there are 2 of each Iris type that we can get per playthrough. The first Iris of Grace is found just east of the West Rampart Site of Grace in Shadow Keep. The first Iris of Occultation is found in the Fort of Reprimand. After dropping down a chute to the northeast of the fort's main entrance, we'll find an Omen Killer, which drops the Iris when defeated. With one of each Iris type, we can go complete Fire Knight Queelign's quest in the Church District. We can use the prayer room key that we got earlier to open the door to the prayer room. Inside is the friendly NPC form of Fire Knight Queelign. We will be given a choice to use one of the two irises on him. Fortunately, there are no downstream effects to worry about, only immediate rewards. Using the Iris of Occultation on him gets us Queelign's Greatsword, which is actually a heavy thrusting sword. On the other hand, using the Iris of Grace on him will get us the Fire Knight Queelign Spirit Ashes. To get both rewards, you will need to use one Iris type on Queelign for your first playthrough and the other type in New Game Plus. While in the Church District, we can get a second copy of the two Iris types. After lowering the water in the Church District, we can reach the Tree Worship Sanctum below. Just before reaching the Sanctum, we'll find our second Iris of Grace in front of a headless statue. Going down to the west of the Church District entrance, we'll find an Ulcerated Tree Spirit, which drops the second Iris of Occultation when defeated. Next, let's go complete Ymir and Julan's questline, which starts at the Cathedral of Messmer. After speaking to Ymir to get the Hole-Laden Necklace, we should exhaust all of his dialogue and ask about Glintstone sorcery. We can then go speak with Julan to the northwest, go through all of her dialogue, and speak with Ymir once more to ask him about her. Also, if we rest at a Site of Grace 2 times, we can approach Ymir for some unique dialogue. However, he won't actually have any new dialogue when spoken to. We will then need to head northeast from the Cerulean Coast Cross to reach the Finger Ruins of Freyja. At the center of the ruins, we can interact with the Hanging Bell to get the Crimson Seed Talisman +1. With that done, we can return to the Cathedral of Messmer and speak with Ymir. He will reward us with a second Ruins map along with the beloved Stardust Talisman. As part of his quest, we will also need to ask about the nature of the world and then ask about Miquella. Afterwards, we can speak with Julan and she will declare her trust and alliance with us. I went into further detail about this next part, but I will try to keep it brief for this video. I recommend watching ahead. Resting at the Site of Grace should cause Ymir to disappear. If we interact with his chair, it will reveal a ladder down to the ruins of Mir. The only thing we can do down there at this point is defeat the Sword Hand of Knight Anna. However, we can always do this later in the questline. Also, if we die in the attempt, we will not be able to return to this area until later, after ringing the second Hanging Bell, potentially losing our runes. Because of that, I recommend that you only fight Anna if you are confident that you will defeat her. Otherwise, fast travel back out of the ruins of Mir literally as soon as you reach the bottom of the ladder. Now, if we defeated Anna, we can also speak with Julan about the invasion for some new dialogue. Regardless of if you defeated the invader, died, or fast traveled out of the hidden area, Ymir will mention something about it when spoken to. At this point in Julan's questline, we can actually summon her as an ally for the Messmer fight in the Dark Chamber of Shadow Keep. You can either summon Julan or Hornsent to help fight Messmer. Summoning or not summoning Hornsent here will result in some dialogue differences, and you will get his item set sooner if you summon him to help fight Messmer. That said, there are no exclusive rewards associated with your choices here, so do whatever you feel is best. After defeating Messmer to get his Kindling Key item, we should discover and rest at the new Site of Grace to make Hornsent appear a couple of steps away. As soon as we fast travel or reload the game, we will lose the opportunity for some unique dialogue. What he says will depend on if we summoned him or not for the fight, and we should speak with him until he has nothing new to say. Next, let's quickly wrap up the Hornsent Grandam's quest. Starting from the small private altar Site of Grace, we can move out to the south to reach her. Speaking through her dialogue, she will give us the gourmet scorpion stew. We can then speak to her until exhausting her dialogue. If we then rest at a site of grace and return, we'll find one last gourmet scorpion stew to pick up. At this point, the Grandamn will be unresponsive, and as far as I know, that is the end of her questline. With that, let's cover everything else that we can do before burning the sealing tree. We'll start with the rest of Ymir and Julan's questline. For the next step, we will need the O Mother gesture, which can be picked up in the northern outskirts of Bonny Village. The O Mother gesture can be used east of the Shadow Keep Backgate Site of Grace, in front of a headless statue. Doing so will open a hidden passage to the Shadowview hinterland area. There is a summoning sign for Julan near the entrance to Shaman Village. She will aid in the fight against one of the 2 tree sentinels here. That being said, neither summoning Julan nor defeating the tree sentinels is required for her questline. What we will need to do is journey down to the center of the Finger Ruins of Dio. There, we can interact with the Hanging Bell to get the Cerulean Seed Talisman +1. With that, we'll fast travel back to the cathedral and speak with Ymir to get the 3rd and final ruins map. We also must speak with Ymir and ask about the nature of the world again, otherwise the quest will not progress. After doing that, we can go speak with Julan and she'll offer up some information on what Ymir is trying to do. Once all dialogues have been exhausted, we can rest at the nearby Site of Grace to start the final phase of the questline, and I recommend watching a little bit ahead before interacting with the final Hanging Bell. After resting at a Site of Grace, Ymir should move from his chair to the graveyard, which is out to the west. We can speak with him for a few lines of dialogue, but it is not necessary. Once again, we can interact with Ymir's empty chair to access the Mirror Ruins. If we haven't already defeated Anna, we will need to do so now. We will also then have a short window of opportunity to tell Julan about it, and that opportunity will end once we ring the 3rd Hanging Bell. With that, we can go ahead and ring the 3rd Hanging Bell, defeat Metter, Mother of Fingers, and then return to the cathedral above. There, we can interact with the empty chair once more and defeat both Julan and Ymir. We can then rest at a Site of Grace and speak to Julan for another important decision. We can use either an Iris of Grace or an Iris of Occultation on Julan, and each comes with its own exclusive reward. First, if we use the Iris of Occultation on Julan, we will get the Sword of Night. The second option is to use the Iris of Grace on Julan, and this will get us her Spirit Ashes, which can be transformed into the Julan and Anna Spirit Ashes. To get both rewards, you will need to use one Iris type on her for your first playthrough, and the other one in New Game Plus. Before leaving this area, we can go out the west exit to pick up the Cherishing Finger spell, which is sitting in front of Yuri's tombstone. To transform the Julan Spirit Ashes, we can go east of the hinterland Site of Grace into the Shaman Village. Southeast of where the Golden Braid Talisman is found, there is a path leading down to a ledge, which we can drop off to reach the otherwise inaccessible top floor of Rabbit's Rise. There, we can interact with the Puppet of Anna to switch between the 2 forms of Julan Spirit Ashes. Also, while we are here, we might as well go grab the Spell Machinist's Bell Bearing and Rabbith's Cannon in the lower levels of the Rise. Our next potential NPC interaction is with the Hornsent. If we summoned him for the Messmer boss fight, then he will invade us in Rao Ancient Ruins, within the Scarlet Rot infested ruins just before reaching the Church of the Bud. Shortly thereafter, Dryleaf Dane can be summoned for the Church of the Bud boss fight. Once again, I summoned him just out of caution. But if you already summoned him on a previous playthrough, then you don't risk much by not summoning him on your second. Up next is a major point of no return for most NPC quests. That said, as long as you've been following this video, you should have completed all important quest lines or quest steps up to this point. After defeating Romina's Saint of the Bud, we can move south to the Sealing Tree. With Messmer's Kindling, we can burn it to access the final area and legacy dungeon, Ener Ilum. At this point, almost all quest endings and rewards will be set in stone, and will depend on the choices we made up to this point. The next possible NPC interaction point will be just after discovering the Cleansing Chamber Anteroom Site of Grace. If we did not defeat Ansbach at any point, then we'll be able to summon him along with Thiollier to help fight against Leda and her allies. If we want some unique dialogue and the option to summon these two NPCs in the fight against the final boss, then we will need to summon them both for the fight against Leda. However, from my testing, even if we don't summon them here, we will still get their quest rewards after defeating the final boss, so long as they can both be summoned at this point. In any case, we will need to fight against Leda and all of her remaining allies, whichever those might be, and we'll get their item sets afterwards. In the next room, we will get just Leda's chest armor. Her other armor pieces are actually from the Oathseeker Knight set, which is found in Gravesite Plain. In any case, we can go take the stairs to the north to reach a lift. If we summoned Ansbach for the fight, we should find him waiting for us at the top. We can ask about Thiollier and ask about Mohg's death, then move up the stairs to the Divine Gatefront Staircase Site of Grace. All that is left to do is defeat the final boss. If you summon Thiollier and Ansbach for the fight with Leda, you will also have the option to summon them here. However, you do not need to summon them to get their final quest rewards, and for most builds, they actually make the fight harder. They do have some unique voice lines during the fight though, so it might be worth summoning them on a couple of attempts just to hear them. However it is managed, once the final boss is defeated, we will get the remembrance of a god and a lord. We can go ahead and pick up the Let Us Go Together gesture if we don't already have it, then touch the gold glowing memory left behind. A cutscene will play out, and we will get the legendary Circlet of Light. After discovering and resting at the nearby Site of Grace, the body of Thiollier and depending on what choices you made, the body of Ansbach will appear nearby. From Thiollier, we will get Thiolier's Hidden Needle and armor set. From Ansbach, we will get the Obsidian Lamina Reaper and Furious Blade of Ansbach spell, along with his armor set. Finally, we can return to St. Trina near the Garden of Deep Purple and pick up the legendary St. Trina's Blossom head armor, which slightly boosts maximum FP. It also has a faint glow to it, so that's pretty neat. There are also 3 Remembrance duplication stations in the Land of Shadow in case you wanted to duplicate any of the DLC boss remembrances. The first is located in the southeast corner of the Finger Ruins of Freyja. The second is located in the pond on the southwest side of the Cathedral of Manus Meter. And the third is located in the northeast outskirts of the Finger Ruins of Dio. If you're still having trouble with the steps covered in this video, you can reach out in the comments section where I will do my best to help. I also recommend checking the pinned comment as I'll be updating with information about specific problems people are having and potential solutions. For more great content, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Tuesday, and as always, thanks for watching.